Good afternoon and welcome to the Museo's online Lunch and Learn. I'm Carol Latham, the Community Outreach Coordinator for the Museum and Cultural Center in Anaheim. And it is our wish that you and your family of concern are all well. The Museo is a cultural and community hub with the mission to engage the community in exploring and celebrating our diverse heritage, culture, and the arts. And we do this through a myriad of programs, exhibitions, presentations, and as I said, programs very much like the one that we're doing right now. And so we really appreciate you taking your hour today to join us. Enjoy your lunch while you're listening and learning a little bit about our program today. The presentation is being recorded on Facebook Live and will be available for viewing on our website. If you have questions or comments, please add them to the chat and we will do our best to respond to them sometime during the presentation. Today's presentation is Cancer Kinship. And Cancer Kinship is a 501c3 nonprofit organization with the mission to empower cancer patients to confidently face the disease through peer mentorship, survivor empowerment and education, socialization, and resource navigation provided by caring and compassionate volunteers and staff. Today's presenter is the Executive Director and Founder, Yolanda Origel. I've had the pleasure of working with and knowing Yoli for a number of years. And this is I found her to be just an inspiring mentor and support to cancer patients and survivors by leaning on her own personal experience as she too has walked in their shoes and is a cancer survivor. So thank you, Yoli, for joining us today and sharing the news about this extraordinary organization, Cancer Kinship.
Thank you, Carol,
Yoli.
for having me. I'm excited to be here. You know, it's nice to have technology, to leverage technology to connect with other people. So through these virtual means, we are able to connect with one another, but also connect with the community. Sorry, you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry, I was just saying thank you. It's all yours now.
All right. Well, I am going to take a moment to do a quick screen share, but because I do have a slide deck to share. It's more of a photo album. And so bear with me just a second while I switch screens, and then we'll get started, okay? Give me just a second. Here we go. Here we go. And then I'm also going to move my little toolbar down below. Let me know if the screen shows up okay.
Technology is so grand.
All right. Well, thanks again, Carol, for inviting me to hop on Zoom and have a quick conversation, and also an opportunity to share my personal cancer story. You and I have been friends for a very long time, so you know this story very well, but I'm basically going to start from the very beginning by showing this picture here of what I looked like when I was just at the tail end of my chemotherapy and radiation treatments, and probably at my sickest. I was diagnosed with, let me see if I can progress the screen here, with stage 3 triple negative breast cancer, which basically means that my cancer came from a genetic background, and cancer has been very much a part of my family's history. I battled cancer with chemotherapy first. I had a bilateral mastectomy. I had tons of radiation and reconstruction that included the use of my back muscle, my lat muscle, and my skin, a very lengthy process that really took a lot out of me physically and emotionally. But then I transitioned and started healing and really embraced the survivorship side of cancer. And I was on top of the world, and I fell in love with life all over again. I started hiking, and my best friend convinced me to run a half marathon, which I don't like running. So that was a success in and of itself. I started skydiving, just was in love with life, and was really eager to continue down this survivorship path that I started. But then unfortunately, metastatic cancer came into my life. Now, I do want to share that because of my family history, cancer has been a part of my life for a very long time. In fact, the first time I heard the word cancer, I was about 6 or 7 years old when my mom was diagnosed with stage 2 cancer that later progressed to a metastatic cancer that ultimately took her life. So she passed away at the age of 42 when I was just 10 years old. And she left behind 7 crazy kids for my dad to raise on his own. So bless my dad's heart for working so hard to take care of us. And then fast forward 8 years into my own cancer survival, my sister was diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic cancer that took her life. And she, along with just like my mom, passed away at the age of 42. So again, cancer has been very much a part of my personal cancer story. My cancer story is bookended with these 2 unique stories that has provided a lot of insight as to the different challenges that breast cancer or any kind of cancer patients experience during their journey. So after losing my sister, I went through a very dark period of grief. I felt like I didn't really fully grieve my mom's loss because as children, we are super resilient and I was able to bounce back really quickly. But as a cancer survivor myself, navigating through the grief process after losing my sister was very challenging. And so I did go on that roller coaster ride of emotions, but the biggest set of emotions that I felt, especially early on, were, of course, sadness and pain, but a lot of survivor guilt as well, which is a term that I knew and I understood in theory until I finally experienced it myself. And so I began searching for ways to process my grief because I knew that I couldn't just stay in that dark place. So I started praying a lot, and mostly during my hikes, I would have these lengthy conversations with the Lord and just trying to figure out what to do with my cancer survival because I knew that I needed to do something. Otherwise, I would be in this dark, depressive state. So lots of personal time and investment spent in healing. And I did go to grief support, which was a group that I really leaned on. And that's where I really learned about accepting the reality of my life and finding the almost like practical tools to release the pain that I had inside. And again, mostly through prayer. And I did finally end up in a place of peace because I found my life's purpose. And so my life's purpose really does lie in this organization called Cancer Kinship. And I'll share a little bit about the name later, Carol, during our conversation. But I really did want to create a place that built community. And so the name Kinship really does touch on that. A few key learnings that that really rose to the surface when I was doing the business planning for Cancer Kinship. And I was writing the business plan. I did a lot of research on the statistics of cancer. And there are a lot of well-known stats about cancer. And this being one of them. 1 in 3 will be diagnosed with cancer, 1 in 8 with breast cancer. And then here in Orange County, it is the 2nd leading cause of death. And these are pre-COVID stats, right? But these are numbers to not to ignore, right? This is a big problem. And when we look at cancer survivorship as a whole, there are a lot of invisible wounds to a cancer diagnosis. And a lot of it has to do with the emotional impact of cancer. And I underlined the word here, report, as much as 50% of survivors report. I can only imagine that 100% of individuals with a cancer diagnosis have experienced these feelings at one point or another. This statistic here really did crush my heart. The suicide risk that with cancer patients can be as high as 13 times the average risk. And the thing that really caught my attention is that suicide risk at this level is within the first year of cancer diagnosis, even when cancer treatment is working and when people are surrounded by loved ones. And a lot of it, when I think about my own cancer story, my own experience, I can only attribute this to fear, right? The fear of recurrence, the fear of going through treatment, how it's going to impact your body, the disfigurement that it causes, hair loss. There are a lot of people that just are crushed by the heaviness, the weight of a cancer diagnosis. So I knew that as I was creating Cancer Kinship, that the programs that I wanted to really focus on was the emotional side of cancer, because there aren't a lot of programs out there that address that. There are incredible programs on prevention and a lot of dollars and investments in research to eliminate cancer altogether, but very little is being done on the emotional side of the shop. So a few conversations that I had, actually a lot of conversations that I had with patient navigators, social workers in the oncology departments, really all had the shared theme in that we need emotional support, specifically in these areas. These are the folks that need a lot of help, that there are a lot of disparities. And so there's a high need for language appropriate support programs, weekend and evening support groups. I can attest to this because I had to work during my treatment to support my family. I was the only breadwinner in my family, and I couldn't take time to go to support groups during the day, which is when a lot of the support groups happen. So I wanted to make sure that we had some weekend and evening opportunities as well. And then support for care providers, because cancer impacts the family as well. So trying to explore and expand in that area as well with our organization. But also we wanted to have fun because cancer is heavy, and we want to create some levity and some connections, some casual connections. One thing that a lot of patients said to me when I was interviewing them as I was developing the business plan is that they wanted somewhere that was non-clinical, because we're at the cancer center so much, maybe somewhere outdoors or somewhere where it's just nice and beautiful. So we're trying to find out ways or explore ways to include that in our programming. Of course, it's challenging with COVID and all the virtual activities that we're doing online now, but that doesn't mean that we can't plan for that in the future. So again, going back to the emotional impact, these are just a few. This is a snapshot of what cancer patients deal with on a day-to-day basis, not only while they're fighting cancer, but years and years into their survival, or for people that are going to forever battle cancer because they're stage 4 metastatic cancer. You know, they have to deal with cancer for the rest of their lives. So addressing their emotional needs is super important, and it actually improves long-term health outcomes. These are just a few quotes from the nurse navigators that I spoke with regarding resources and connections for patients. You know, it's obvious that there needs to be a change, and there needs to be additional partnership opportunities so that resource navigators, nurse navigators, have the information that they need to provide additional support to the cancer community, or they can lean on organizations like us to handle this side of the shop so that they can focus on the physical, the medical side of the shop. So lots of opportunities for partnerships here. So moving on, so this quote or this statistic actually also caught my eye, and it really opened my mind to the possibilities and the impact that our organization could have on the cancer community. Up to 61% reduction in life expectancy if emotional health is not addressed. That's huge. So again, this is there are a lot of dark sides to cancer, and I want to make sure that our organization shines the light on it. It's important to raise awareness about these issues. And then looking at COVID and cancer screenings, I was just reading a report earlier this week that showed these statistics that cancer screenings have dropped up to 94% in the last 6 months. So the life-saving screenings of early detection that saves lives fell up to 94%. That's alarming. And experts say that this could significantly reduce survival rates. That's obvious. So we want to make sure that we're providing real-time information to the community, and learning from the cancer centers the safety protocols that they have in place. It is really safe to go and get your screenings now. So I want to encourage everyone to get screened. And, you know, there's a lot of work to be done in this space, but I do have good news to share. It's not all dark. We do have the largest number of cancer survivors alive in the world in the history of ever. So that is the good news. People are living longer. After diagnosis, they're living longer lives. So it's even more important for us to look at what are the different ways that we can support people that are living longer lives. Can you imagine cancer survivors living these very lengthy lives, but living their lives with depression and anxiety and fear. That's not a good way to live. So we want to improve their quality of life and ultimately impact their long-term health outcomes. So anyway, our organization is focused on that. And Carol, you shared our mission earlier, and this is our mission here. We have 4 core programs that we focus on. We have our peer mentorship program that engages cancer survivors or people living with cancer that are willing to share their story and connect with a newly diagnosed patient who is just starting out. Now, the thing about COVID is that it brought us a lot of volunteers. So we have a lot of mentors right now, but what we really need are the patients that could benefit from this service. So we're looking for new patient referrals, anyone that just got diagnosed or is going through treatment or maybe is past treatment but still dealing with the emotional side of cancer. We want to make sure that we have someone that you can connect with for a one-on-one support. We also have our education and empowerment program, so tons of workshops that we offer on a weekly basis. And our programs are shared online through Eventbrite, so that's how people can find our programs. And we also have socialization. This is the fun part, right? We want to make sure that we have fun activities for people to connect with one another. And then the one program that has grown tremendously during COVID is resource navigation. These are the calls that I receive on a daily basis from cancer patients or cancer survivors who have been impacted by COVID, either through a job loss and are having a hard time putting a roof over their, or keeping a roof over their head, or putting food on their table, or having to make a decision whether they should pay their copay for chemotherapy or their specialist appointments, or putting food on their table, or putting gas in their car to get to treatment, or putting food on their table. So through partnerships, we have incredible partnerships here at Cancer Kinship, and we do lean on our partners a lot, especially during COVID. So through these partnerships, we're able to provide whole person support to the community that needs us now more than ever before. Now, when we look at Cancer Kinship in terms of goals, we do have some big, lofty goals, and but it's really to address the emotional side of cancer survivorship and the psychosocial side as well. And when we look at this from a long approach, a forward-thinking approach, it's really an upstream approach to reducing cancer recurrence risks. We want to reduce those risks by addressing the mental health side, providing the emotional support, and reducing barriers to long-term health outcomes. And then, of course, we want to bring together a community. So when we look at our vision, we want to make sure that we empower our cancer patient community to brave the storm together, confidently and fearlessly. So we have a lot of work to do in this department, but we're definitely up for it. We've done a lot, especially during COVID, to address the various and growing needs of the cancer community. But like I said, we have leaned on our partners. There's no way that we could have done this alone. So I do want to take a quick moment to thank our partners like St. Joseph's Hospital, Hoag, and the Melinda Hoag Smith Center for Healthy Living, UCLA Kaiser. We have so many amazing partners. Even on the corporate side of the shop, we've had some incredible partners that have not only supported us during COVID, but supported us when we launched, or since we launched in November of 2018. And through their support, we had the infrastructure and the foundation that allowed us to provide services during COVID. So we're grateful. My heart overflows with gratitude on a daily basis. And when we are in person, we operate out of 2 office locations. We are at the Melinda Hoag Smith Center for Healthy Living in Newport Beach, right across the street from Hoag Hospital. And we also have office space at a newer location called the Hive of Anaheim, which is powered by Anaheim Community Foundation and the Samueli Foundation. So these are 2 local community hubs that house lots of nonprofits and community programs. So again, this provides an opportunity for us to connect with other partners and to lean on each other for cross referrals and cross promotion of each other's programs. These are just a few pictures of our community partners. We have a lovely relationship with Susan G. Komen LA and Orange County. Again, UCLA Kaiser Center for Health Equity. And 1OC, they're our fiscal sponsors, so they provide all of our back office support services and help link us up with corporations and other community leaders who are interested in serving the cancer community. We have a relationship with USC Keck Medical, a researcher out there, supports our work, and we support her work as well, Dr. Badur Salia. And yes, through the relationships that we've had here locally and throughout Southern California, we've been able to reach more patients. And here's a picture of Orange County Cancer Coalition. This year, I'm co-chairing with UCI. So thank you, UCI, for giving me the opportunity to serve in this leadership capacity. We have an amazing group that meets on a monthly basis. There's their photo in the middle here of us meeting every month via Zoom. And yes, lots of going on at Cancer Kinship. And, COVID did impact us pretty severely. We closed our offices early on. We had to cancel 2 fundraising events. We paused only for a moment until I decided to turn my living room into flip chart central. And then we developed a contingency plan to address our organization's needs and the needs of the cancer community during COVID. So lots happened in the first couple weeks of COVID, which then enabled us to move all of our programs online. So we did a 100% transition online, and we're providing virtual programming, virtual workshops, resource navigation. And but our work isn't done. The needs are growing and still have continued to grow. So there's a lot of work for us to do. We need more volunteers in various capacities, not only through leadership, like serving on our executive advisory council, but also boots on ground to help us raise awareness through the distribution of information, through digital outreach. There are many, many ways to support Cancer Kinship. I do want to pause for a brief moment and look at the time to see how long I've spoken for, and draw your attention to this program that we launched last year in October. In fact, this was I think it was our very first program, or second program even, called Painting Your Heart. And this program is in partnership with a wonderful, big-hearted woman. Her name is Christine Barone, who owns the company Painting Your Heart. And with her partnership, we have been able to offer this program almost every 2 weeks. And basically, this program isn't like a typical paint and sip or a paint night type of program. We do go a little deep, and it engages the participants in sharing of their stories and connecting with one another. And we have these 3 painting scenarios that Christine facilitates, and it really involves, we start on a high note, and we have some mindful meditation or mindful practices to kind of get us centered and in the moment, focus on our own self-care. And then we move into maybe some of the edgier type of topics, but it's really a way for us to face our fears related to cancer or related to our own personal journey, and release those fears through the arts, through painting, through the act of drawing. Through COVID, we had to change our format. So not every program or participant has paints in their home. So, we invite them to bring their makeup or nail polish, draw pictures on a paper plate or a piece of cardboard box that you got from Amazon. So we got really creative with the program. We do have one of our amazing participants on the call with us right now. Her name is Maria, who is a Cancer Kinship veteran and has been a part of our programs for many years. So here in just a bit, I'm going to ask Maria to share a few words about her experience with Painting Your Heart. But I do want to share that there are a lot of benefits to using the arts as a way to de-stress and as a way to cope and manage your health crisis, or this basically life. Of course, Cancer Kinship and this painting program provides a safe place. We want to make sure that it is a calming environment that's focused on the client. And it does reduce levels of stress and anxiety. There are a lot of studies and reports that show that demonstrate that showcase the numbers. And it does encourage a lot of self-awareness. And a lot of empowerment opportunities comes from this type of activity. So it's been a pleasure to work with Christine and our clients. The clients are the ones that make this program so special, especially during the sharings. Like the sharing part is really powerful. This is a picture of our art show that we had last year after we finished, I think it was a 6-part painting series. We had an event at a place called the Kind Community, and our painters, our participants had a chance to display their artwork in this beautiful facility. And then each of the participants had a chance to go up on stage and share their personal story. And they had their family and friends there as well. And we had one client share with us that it was the first time ever that her son ever told her that he was proud of her. So that was a very memorable moment. It stuck out to me as well. I'll never forget that. And the painting you see here is one that was painted at our last Painting Your Heart program. And it was done by one of our clients who is dealing with an advanced stage cancer. And she's had several breakthrough moments. And this is just a visual depiction of what those breakthrough moments, what a breakthrough moment could look like. So lots is happening at Cancer Kinship. I'm going to try to play this video if that's okay, Carol, if we have time. Hopefully the audio comes through. If not, I'll do a reshare and start all over again. Let me know if you can hear this. Can you hear it? Not yet? Okay, let me pause and try this again. Bear with me just a second as I try to figure out the technology here. Let's see. I know what I did wrong. I didn't hit share computer sound. So let's try this again.
We're all learning all this technology.
That's right. Okay, let me hide my floating meeting controls and we'll try this one more time. Can you hear it?
Painting Your Heart, now doing this like on a second go around.
Can you hear it okay?
I've noticed how much
You could increase the volume a bit.
Okay.
And also how much I've been able to really get to know myself.
As high as it goes, sorry.
Learning how to get to know myself. It has created unbelievable results that I never even imagined. Cancer Kinship has completely and totally made me feel right from the get-go how supportive and I guess like a feeling of all of us together going through our own individual journeys, and in making me feel really, really just okay about everything.
Wow. That's really beautiful. And especially, the Museo, we are a cultural and art center. And this plays so beautifully into our mission as well, being able to explore and focus and highlight art from a variety of sources. So this is wonderful.
Thank you, Carol. All right, let me go back to the slide deck. I have a few more slides to show. Ooh, if I can figure out how to do this. Bear with me. Can you see the screen okay now?
Yes.
Okay. So yes, we do have this workshop scheduled every other week. And we're going to change things up during the holidays. We're going to have a special holiday edition. So we want to encourage people to visit our Eventbrite and check out not only Painting Your Heart, but all of our other workshops. And yes, these are truly, not only are they fun and engaging, but also we end up with these amazing art pieces. So I do want to call on Maria really quickly to share a few words, if you could, Maria, and maybe share what your experience has been thus far, and what are some of the benefits that you've experienced personally through Painting Your Heart? Let's unmute.
I'm sorry. I thought I had to wait.
That's okay.
Hi, Carol. I'm Maria Escala, and thank you so much for this invitation. I so much enjoyed this, Yoli, because I never saw the video. And so the pictures and the video of me speaking a long time ago, wow, it was beautifully done and very emotional for me. That night that we had our art show was probably one of the funnest evenings that I've ever had. Just on so many levels. sharing our art was, at first I thought, oh my gosh, everybody's going to see my art. But you know what? It was such a wonderful expression of myself, and it continues. Even people that I'm hoping that at some point, people from different walks of life are able to try and enjoy this type of art form, because it never gets old. Every time I do it, it feels like I'm doing it for the first time, except that I've noticed that it's become easier for me to be able to express myself and connect to my emotions.
Yeah.
So I am so grateful for all the workshops that Yoli has tried to offer us, because even on just in levels of life, in other areas, it all falls in together with even our own cancer experiences, but it goes beyond that, because we are able to connect with each other. Even if we're just meeting for the first time, we are able to connect as if we've known each other for years. It feels like.
Yeah, that was one of the comments that really stood out to me during Saturday's workshop this past Saturday, that the participants shared that they felt like they had been friends for years, and they look forward to staying connected, which again is one of our primary goals in building community through our programs. Thank you, Maria. You are part of our family. You were there at our very first workshop when we launched all of our programs in October of 2018, and we consider you family. So thank you for being here with us.
Thank you.
Do you have any last comments to share before we move on to the remaining slides?
I just hope that everybody gets the opportunity to experience this, because you don't realize what it is until you actually participate.
Wonderful.
So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let me get back to our PowerPoint here. Oh, not from beginning, from current slide. All right, can you see that okay? Does that work? Okay. So regarding what's next for our organization, as you can imagine, COVID has played an important part of us being flexible and nimble. So we did create 3 primary goals for our organization. Our first goal basically is to increase our outreach efforts so that we can raise awareness. And the reason why we're trying to raise awareness is so that we can reach more cancer patients who need us now, especially during COVID, that has presented a lot of extreme isolation and a lot of emotional distress related to COVID. And then throwing cancer on top of that just exacerbates the situation. So this is where we could use the help of our community to increase the awareness about our organization, about our programs. And a very easy way to do that is through social media, just liking Cancer Kinship and sharing our events and our posts as we continue to add more workshops and more opportunities for people to get involved. Of course, we can't do our work without increasing our own organization's financial sustainability. So we're looking at very creative ways to raise funds. Obviously, right now, a lot of the corporate support that we were hoping to garner throughout this second year of operations really is taking a pause, because companies understandably are really internally focused and trying to figure out how to continue operating during COVID. And then, of course, grant funding has shifted priorities to basic needs, making sure that there's food on people's tables and people have roofs over their heads. Of course, we want funders to continue focusing in that area. So that really does leave community support from individuals, and every single dollar coming in the door, whether it's $5 or 20,000 bucks, all of it makes a difference. And then, of course, in order for us to grow as an organization, can't do it alone. We need help from volunteers and community partners. So we're always looking for ways to partner with anyone who's interested in serving the cancer community through Cancer Kinship. So we do have this interesting event coming up. And I say interesting because it's a virtual fundraising event. And Carol, who is here representing Museo, is also, you guys don't know this, but she's a fashion show coordinator too. So Carol and I are going to chat in just a minute about the experience of putting together a virtual fashion show. And what makes this show special is that the models in the show are all cancer patients or survivors. So we have 8 incredible individuals who gave their time and their energy, sometimes when they weren't feeling well, to record themselves in a COVID-safe environment. So the runways are in their homes and the clothing are clothes from their own closets. And we created this 1-hour event that's going to be premiered on Saturday. The event itself starts at 4, but the virtual doors open at 3 for people to hop on Zoom and connect with one another, or people watch. You can turn off your camera and people watch for the first hour, and then we'll watch the show together. So this is a way for us to raise awareness, raise funds. The fundraising doesn't end with the premiere event. What we're offering to the community are mini viewing parties that companies can offer to their employees during the holidays as a way to build their team and support a good cause, or church groups or service clubs coming together and hosting a viewing party to support Cancer Kinship and bringing their community together. So lots of options are available. And if you're interested, you can always visit our event page, which is showcased on our social media. And this is where we share real-time, up-to-date information. We have a presence on Facebook, Instagram, very little on Instagram and LinkedIn because I don't really like Instagram that much. I don't have time. It takes a lot of my time away from me. But we do have an online digital newsletter that goes out every week called the Kinner Circle. So we do want to encourage people to visit our website and join our mailing list. And again, we are so thankful to our partners that allow us to raise awareness about our organization. This is a snapshot of a few events, the virtual events that we've been a part of. So thank you, Museo, for hosting us today. Komen, we have a Spanish speaking conference coming up throughout, actually it launches on the 28th. And Cancer Kinship is represented, and I'm gonna be the keynote speaker at the very end of the conference on October 31st. And then we have an event coming up with women in insurance and financial services in November. So lots of things are happening at Cancer Kinship. But again, we couldn't do this alone. We have lots of volunteers. I love data, so I accumulated the data related to our volunteer efforts. And we've had well over 100 people support us since we launched in 2018 at almost 3,000 hours and 70,000 in value at the lowest level. Actually, I think it's 3 times that because of the level of expertise and skills that they brought to the table. So I'm thankful to our organization, our Cancer Kinship's Executive Advisory Council. Our board chair is Dr. Carpenter, who is my breast surgeon, and we have my oncologist on board as well. We have amazing people on our council, so I'm thankful to them for their guidance and support. And that's pretty much it. That's us in a nutshell.
Well, you covered so much information in this presentation. I do have a couple of questions.
Okay.
What's the process that you go through to match a mentor with a patient or survivor? Do they have to be, does the mentor have to be a cancer survivor themselves, or what does that look like?
Yeah, so the program design involves cancer survivors or people actually that are still living with cancer. So there's a metastatic community that are going to be battling cancer for the remainder of their life, but are in a position, an emotional place to give back and provide support. So to answer your question, we recruit 2 types of individuals. We recruit new patients who are in need of emotional one-on-one support, and we hope that we receive referrals from cancer centers or from other cancer serving organizations. People could self-refer or can be referred by loved ones. And we do have an intake process where we collect their information, and we're a HIPAA compliant organization, so we protect their information, but we do need some basic information about the type of cancer that they had. Our hope is to pair them up with somebody with a similar cancer or a similar treatment. And then so we have that side of the shop. And then in order for us to be successful, we need the mentors. And so we do have a training program that was developed before we launched Cancer Kinship that basically first we onboard our new volunteers. They do have to sign some volunteer release forms and confidentiality agreements before they get started. And then we have a half-day workshop where we teach them the ins and outs of being a mentor and the expectations of being a mentor. And maybe some tips. We also offer some tips on how to best communicate. And because everything is online right now, it's very easy to do. You can just hop on a video chat and talk to one another or pick up the phone or text. And the hope is for our mentors to commit to 6 months. 6 months of mentorship with their person once they've been paired. And we do measure our program. So we have some surveys, a pre-survey and then a post-survey that evaluates the impact of our program from an emotional standpoint. So we get a baseline emotional distress self-evaluation result, and then we measure it again. And our hope is that by being a part of this program, we actually see some improvements in their emotional health. So it sounds complicated, but it's quite easy. All it takes is a generous heart and someone willing to say, I want to help someone. We do offer monthly trainings for our mentors. They're listed on our Eventbrite. So anyone interested in serving as a mentor or just want to have an exploratory conversation, they can hop on that training and learn more about the program. And then after the program, they can make a decision to move forward. So yeah, that program is growing. We're learning and tweaking and just kind of being very flexible with the program because of COVID and the challenges that's presented that doesn't allow for face-to-face. Our program's intent originally was to have it in person because there's just something very beautiful about an in-person connection, but obviously that's not working right now. The cool thing about being online is that the mentorship now can happen, doesn't matter where people are from. You know, now we have clients reaching out to us from across the nation. We have someone that wants to serve as a mentor, and he's in Boston, and he was part of our training. So, you know, there are lots of ways to connect people right now.
Perfect. You mentioned earlier that cancer isn't just about the person who is been diagnosed, but it also affects the whole family. So is working with the family and helping them better understand their family member who is actually experiencing the surgery and the treatments, is that part of your program as well?
It is, and really more from a social aspect right now. Although we've had programs that have been specific to care providers, like for example, the Painting Your Heart program, we offered it one time to care providers only because the experience and the sharing care provider to care provider is different. So we're facilitating those types of opportunities to connect with one another and to lean on each other and learn from each other's experiences. But from a programmatic standpoint, the other programs that we offer to care providers is really more to bring communities together. So our hope is to bring like husbands and husbands together, or wives and wives, kids and kids, and really leverage the peer-to-peer support and information sharing so that we can have greater insights to the unique needs of cancer survivor families and care providers. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We're looking to grow in that area, but because we're a small shop right now, our primary focus in terms of programming is for the patient and for the survivor.
Okay. And your roster of patients and survivors isn't just limited to women, is it? It's right across, including yes, younger members of the community, or are you just mostly adults?
All adults, all cancers, adult programming is what we're focused on right now. Although if you know me from my past life, my heart is with youth development. I grew up in the Boys and Girls Club and YMCA as a professional. My heart is still there, and in conversations with patients and in conversations with healthcare providers and other cancer serving organizations, what really caught my attention early on is a lack of transition programs for children who are battling cancer as they transition into adulthood. So for me, since our program is focused on adult programming, at some point in the super near future, we're going to be developing a different variation or a focus on young adults, so 18 to 23, 18 to 20, early 20s, same program. So mentorship, survivor empowerment, socialization, resource navigation, but for the younger group. And the professionals that we'll bring on board will really focus on the emotional and the developmental needs of the children that are in oncology and are transitioning into adulthood. So more to come on that. I'm really excited and pumped about this opportunity. I just need more hours in the day and of course more volunteers.
You need to clone yourself.
Yes, I do need to sleep at some point.
Oh, sleep is overrated sometimes. No, sleep's very important. I was just on another webinar this morning and they were talking about the importance of having really good, deep restorative sleep for at least, 7 to 8 hours a night.
Oh,
Yeah.
I wish I could sleep that much. Yes, someday.
You've been around with Cancer Kinship now for 2 years.
Almost. Next month we'll have our second year anniversary.
I'm so excited and proud of you.
Thank you.
What are some, maybe 1 or 2 success stories that you have had over this period?
Sure. So one success story is right here with us right now, Maria. When I think about the one person that really has been heavily engaged throughout the very beginning, Maria comes to mind. And I won't mention specific details about her own personal growth, for privacy purposes, but I do want to say that I personally have seen Maria open up more and share more and connect with other people. Maria, is that correct? I don't want to speak for you right here, but does that sound accurate? And it's been a beautiful thing to witness, people connecting with people blossoming. And that's really the point behind our program, is to empower people and help them feel a little bit more emotionally sound and supported.
Yeah, that brings to mind how
Maria,
we first met. It brings to mind how we first met, sitting around a table with 20, 30 survivors and patients. And what I noticed almost immediately was and I think Maria mentioned a little bit of this too, that it almost seemed like you were family because you were all on the same play field. You were all going through some version of the same thing. Maybe it's a different cancer, but you were all experiencing the same journey. And it's a journey that someone who has not had that experience doesn't quite get it,
Right.
And I remember seeing the blossoming relationships that resulted from doing those shows. And as we've been planning this brave, bold, boundless virtual event, I've seen the same thing happen from the very first week when we met with some of the models and they were a little bit shy and nervous and wondering, what did I get myself into? Why did I say yes? Yoli is just too convincing.
They find that Yoli is crazy. What did she rope me into this time?
I know. And but then to see the relationship build within those that were regular members of the workshops that we were doing was just really rewarding. And you mentioned the word seeing them blossom, which has been really a pleasure for me to witness as well.
Well, you contributed to their confidence, Carol. You provided a lot of tips. And we even had you stand up and show us how to walk.
And yeah, we did have fun with it. We had a lot of fun with it, whether it was, in the kitchen or down the hallway or whatever, as they were even deciding where they were going to video their walk and what outfits they were going to select. And it was a lot of fun to do. You also mentioned, and I want to go back, switch from the event to something that you also mentioned about your newsletter, because I found that extremely informative and educational. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. So I want to make sure, as we were putting together the format of the newsletter, that it touched on more than just what we offer at Cancer Kinship. Obviously, we're going to promote our programs in the newsletter. That's a given. And but what I really wanted to make sure is that we provided information on the various types of resources that were available to within other organizations, our partner organizations, because right now, especially during COVID, we're on information overload. And sometimes it's paralyzing. We don't know where to turn to find out where the next food distribution is going to be, or who's having the next cancer workshop, or what program's coming up. So we want to make sure that we offer that as a very consistent piece of our newsletter. And then, of course, we wanted to highlight our partners and talk about the different ways in which we're leaning on each other. Some elements of storytelling in there. I will try to hop on and do a video, because of course that just that humanizes our program. And I'm a little bit passionate about this program, our program. So
just a little bit.
Too. But what I found is that when stories are shared and passion is shared, that people gravitate to that. So our hope is that our newsletter draws in more people. It's more than just for cancer patients. There's a little bit of something for everyone. So we do want to encourage people to sign up and join our newsletter. There's a lot of information sharing in our newsletter.
A lot of information there, very valuable information. And you know, one of the statistics that you mentioned earlier is that we all at one time or another have been touched by this disease, whether it is ourselves personally, a family member, or someone we know. It's inevitable that we're going to know someone who's going through this journey. And so it's really special that you offer this kind of outlet and resource to people as they're experiencing this. As you said in the beginning, it's, you know, they know where to go to get the treatment and how to select the doctors and, you know, all of those kinds of things. But it's the emotional aspect of it that's been the little part of the puzzle that's been missing. And so Cancer Kinship being able to put that piece into the puzzle, I think is really quite commendable.
Thank you. You know, I was in a conversation yesterday with another nonprofit leader, Celebrate Life Cancer Ministries. And she said something that really just sparked my own personal memories about my own diagnosis. She said that she remembers clearly when she first heard the words, "You have cancer." She received so much information, and she was so thankful that her cancer center gave her a packet and said, "Here is a packet of resources." Had lots of flyers in there, a lot of information contained within this little packet. But what it did is that it allowed her, after she had time to process everything that had happened and trying to schedule all of her appointments and the screenings and the blood tests and all of those things, and she finally had a chance, it may have been like at home late night, she was going through, and she found that to be a very easy way to connect with the resources. She could throw out flyers or say, "Yes, I want to hang on to this and hopefully I'll get to it." But what she found is that with the information overload that is happening in life right now, it's very easy for patients to get under the covers, put the covers over their head and not want to come out. An easy reaction. And so we want to avoid that. And an important aspect of our organization is about the storytelling, that if they could hear, a patient could hear a story that could resonate with them, they can say, well, if that person could make it, I can make it too. So we hope to incorporate a lot of storytelling into our programming.
Yeah, and there's a wonderful book that I will share with you, and maybe you have already read it. It's by Kindra Hall, and it's called Stories That Stick. It's a wonderful book because it's being able to share the heart and the authenticity and really raw aspects of the experience, and then go through that journey to the other side, you know, and being able to help other people navigate that as well.
Yeah.
So,
well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Is there anything else that you would like to say about the virtual event before we close today?
Yes, we have 3 days left, so buy your tickets. We do want to encourage people to buy tickets. Now, if they can't make it on the 24th, on Saturday, then by having a ticket, that means they have access to an on-demand viewing, so they can watch it anytime at their convenience. But also, you know, first for the groups, if they're interested in hosting a group event and support Cancer Kinship at the same time, we're open to that. I'm booking parties between now and year end. So please reach out to Cancer Kinship and we'll make it happen.
So the actual, even if they can't be on Saturday, they will have through December. Is that what I'm hearing?
They will have until end of December
End
to
of
host
December.
a private viewing party. So say, for example, Carol, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
You want to host a fashion show viewing party through Museo and invite your community, then we can do that. We can book it and everybody can watch the show.
Oh, fantastic. And all of the information on that is available on your website.
Social media. Website has a lot of our static program information, which is great, but the real-time updates happen on social media.
Okay. All right. So we have to learn how to better navigate that means of technology.
Yes. Social media is the place where everything lives. So
I know. Well, this program is also going to be live on our Facebook.
It's live right now. I'm watching it right here.
Now. And it will, yes, you can see yourself. So they'll be able to watch this again and get more information and volunteer if they are able to, be able to contact you if they need help with their own Cancer Kinship journey and if they need resources. So it's going to be on our Museo website, which is www.museo.org. And I think on the screen you can see that. We also want to make sure that the programs that we are presenting to the community are programs that are resonating with you, that you're learning something from it, that you are being empowered by the information that you are being given. So let us know how we're doing. And if you want to support the Museo and you want to support Cancer Kinship, there is a way to do that through Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, etc. I'd like to thank, in the background is our technical guru, Berkenda, and like to thank her. And without a doubt, thank you, Maria, for hopping on and sharing your story. Without a doubt, you, Yoli, for sharing your story and your vision of this amazing organization. And I'd like to, on behalf of the Museo, thank the viewing audience, whether you are on Zoom or on the live, Facebook Live viewing. Thank you for taking this hour to join us this afternoon and for learning a little bit more about this amazing organization, Cancer Kinship. Support them through, in any way that you can. Find out more about the virtual event and check on that on Saturday. So until the next time, it is our pleasure to have you with us. Stay safe. See you next time.
Thank you, Carol.